It's just weeks, days, in fact, before voters go to the polls. Can any political party afford bad publicity? What was it that Oscar Wilde said, right? That it was rather worse to be ignored, to not be talked about, than to be talked about. But can any party afford to be maligned with such stakes so high ahead of the 2024 general election? Helen Zille is the chair of the Federal Council for the Democratic Alliance and joins us to explain, perhaps even defend that ad. Helen, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Bongani. It's very good to be with you.
I suspect you're not surprised by the blowback and the criticism of that DA ad. What's your response to people who feel that whilst they may even agree with the point it was trying to make, this wasn't the way to do it?
Well, Bongani, in the first place, we don't have to defend or justify or explain anything. The ad does it all for us, as it was supposed to do, in 30 seconds. Of course there's going to be blowback. Every single time the DA tells the truth, there is blowback. There was massive blowback when we warned about cadre deployment, massive blowback when we warned about BEE, massive blowback when we talked about state capture. And remember Stop Zuma, the blowback that we got over that? We get blowback over everything from people who would never vote for us. And of course that is extraordinarily helpful because it creates a choice. Are you part of burning the flag? Are you part of that brigade? Or are you part of those of us, like the DA, who want to restore the flag and its symbolism and the hope that accompanied it back in 1994? That's the whole point. And we obviously expected this controversy because there are people who troll the internet all day looking for issues to be offended about. We're used to that, and we don't take it seriously.
I made the point almost in jest a little earlier on that since 1994, the only president who was in office and when we didn't win a Rugby World Cup was Jacob Zuma. All the others were in office when we at some point or another won the World Cup. And even at the height of state capture, I want to argue that if we had won a Rugby World Cup, the nation would have rallied around that team. They would have certainly carried Jacob Zuma. They would have celebrated with him as president. In other words, many South Africans are quite able to separate the misrule and the consequences they've suffered as a result of what the ANC has done or not done in office. You weren't short of examples to illustrate that point. You could have gone to July 2021. You could have shown all the collapse that is around us. But you've chosen that one symbol that even when we're in the depths of despair, we all turn to. And so people may now say that it isn't the ANC that has burnt the flag, it's the DA.
Well, this is the strangest thing because the very point of that ad is to show exactly who is burning the flag and who is restoring it. Now, the interesting thing is that there have been a number of ANC protests where the ANC actually is protesting against the ANC in government, where they have burnt the flag in real life. The real flag, not the paper flag, the real flag. And there was no outcry about that, none at all. There were no people writing to the media and interviewing people. The ANC burnt the flag, and that's what they always do. And that was a good symbol of what they're doing to South Africa. So the point is the double standard of the media must now end. The ANC has burnt our country. The ANC, EFF, MK alliance will burn it to obliteration. That is the point that we effectively got across in 30 seconds and ended with saying if you want the flag restored, the DA is the only party strong enough, honest enough, and with a track record to do that.
You likely don't need to convince your base, your supporters with much more. Many will agree with the point that you've made and how you did it, or they might think that the response to it is a storm in a teacup. But are you okay with losing those potential voters who might have agreed with all the points you are making, but look at this and say, not quite yet. They're not going to cross the line over to your side. Are they worth losing?
Well, we've always told the truth, and the truth is always worth speaking before the eventuality occurs. We could keep quiet about what's going to happen, and in 10 years' time say, actually, we knew all about it then, and people would have said, well, why didn't you say so? We are saying so in a way that will punch everybody in the gut. That was the purpose. And the controversy is part of turbocharging that message. We have to get it across that people now must realize the stakes in this election when they go to vote. That is the point.
So essentially, even now, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Obviously, there is such thing as bad publicity. I mean, if I was caught drinking and driving, that would be terrible publicity, and of course I wouldn't do that. But there is such thing as bad publicity. But when you are telling the truth, even if it brings the howls of outrage by the professional outrage seekers, that is not bad publicity. That is getting your point across.
Helen Zille is the chair of the Federal Council of the Democratic Alliance. Thank you for your time.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.